past few years, we've heard the term free agents and been told we would all need to become one in order to succeed. The recent economic structures have helped to promote this concept as reality. Where do we get the tools to take control of our career path in the present and future? Welcome to The Career Confidant with your host, Marie Zimenoff. Marie and her guest experts are here to provide you with the tools you need to move forward and achieve your career goals. Now, here is Marie Zimenoff.
Welcome to the Career Confidant, and of course we're bringing you another great topic that you can use to build your career and build your business. And today we're excited to have Mark Time here, co-author of Mentor to Millions. So Mark, thank you for joining us, and we're going to hear a little bit about your story as we go through our time today. So I won't spend too much time on the introduction, but thank you for joining us here today.
Well, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here and super excited to tackle these topics that are super timely right now.
Yes, finding a mentor and growing our career, or maybe if we are in job search or thinking about launching our own business, a mentor is going to help us with any of those challenges. And if I'm kind of getting your story, is that you learned some important lessons of being a mentor from your co-author, Kevin. So share a little bit about how you two connected and what you learned from him that has changed your life.
Yeah, I've had mentors in my life, my whole life, and that's part of, I tie back my secret to success has been having mentors. And the interesting thing is that I met Kevin through a mutual mentor, a gentleman by the name of Zig Ziglar. So Zig Ziglar, who was a motivational master, impacted 250 million people, was Kevin's mentor. He was also my mentor. And then he passed away, and as a result of that, we both reconnected with the family, and the children of our mutual mentor introduced Kevin Harrington to myself. And then Kevin and I developed a mentorship relationship. So you've got the mentees of our mentor, Zig Ziglar, and then we meet, and then I find that Kevin is a perfect mentor for where I'm at in life. He starts mentoring me, and I find myself in this unique situation where I'm starting to really scale as an entrepreneur. Things are starting to go well, and one day I find myself at the end of my driveway, and I don't want to go home. And that's not an experience any entrepreneur wants to have. And usually you have that experience if you're like going bankrupt or you've had a bunch of bad decisions. But in my life, I had just had one of the best days of my entire life. I'd made all the decisions that I needed to make with confidence and clarity, like 99 out of 100 decisions. I nailed it. But then I found myself sitting there saying I didn't want to go home because I didn't want that feeling to end, because I didn't have that same confidence and clarity at home. And that's actually the way the book that we co-authored, Mentor to Millions, begins. And so if you want to hear the rest of the story, obviously it's in the book. But I'll give your listeners here a little bit of the glimpse, and that is I embarked in a very unique mentorship that I thought was about business and ended up being about life. And I applied those concepts to home. And so not only did I scale my businesses, and I'm now on my way to my very first $100 million business, which is what I wanted to achieve when I chose Kevin as a mentor, but I have exponentially grown my family and the results that I'm getting at home as well through this mentorship experience.
Yeah, so that you met through a mentor, and these relationships just always have bigger impact than we think they're going to, which is why we know that relationships are the currency of success, right? So if you are talking to people today, how do you suggest they find a business mentor? Perhaps they don't have, that kind of network yet, or don't feel like they do. How do they find a business mentor?
Well, I got to tell you, I actually believe that everybody listening already knows everybody they need to know to accomplish everything that they want to accomplish in life. And so that's that should be liberating. That should be freeing for people listening to say, wait a minute, what if I already know who I need to know to be able to accomplish these things? Because you see, I knew the children of Zig Ziglar. I didn't know Kevin Harrington. And so by talking to the children of Zig Ziglar, they introduced me to Kevin Harrington. And so the one thing that people make the mistake on is they're like, if I only had this mentor, if I only had that mentor, tap into your own people that you know. Put it out there that you're looking to grow and scale through mentorship. And my guess is there's someone you already know that would step up and fill that role. Or if not, they know the person you're supposed to have as a mentor. And so step number one is just putting it out there and saying, I'm ready to take this next step in life, and I know that I can do it with the help of somebody else. So step one is to just make the decision and put it out there that you're ready for a mentor in your life. Step two, which is actually the more important step, is once you get someone that says, I'm willing to mentor you, be their best student. Nothing you can do is bigger than being the best student of a mentor, because there are lots of people out there, like a Kevin Harrington. He's got a lot of people that want his time. So who's he going to pour into? Who's he going to double down on? Somebody that decides to be the best student, to do what he's telling. So many people have people in their life that say they would mentor them or coach them, and then they don't do it. They don't follow through. They're too busy. They don't actually do what people say. You do what people tell you to do. You become their best student, they'll pour into you. And that's the experience that I've had. So put it out there, raise your hand, say you're ready, and then when the opportunity presents itself, be the best student. And then sit back and watch your life change.
Yeah, and that's so much easier said than done. As you were just saying, people are busy, or maybe we're not really ready for change, and we find that mentor, and then we have to actually do what they're asking us to do. And we talked about this a little bit right before we jumped on the call, that there are a lot of business owners and career searchers that are experiencing adversity right now. Business owners are struggling. People who might be job seeking are struggling. And one of the things that happens when we're struggling is that we tend to pull inwards, right, and not think that we can connect with people. So what other little tips could you give to someone who's feeling like, I'm too down right now, or I don't have any social capital in my life? How can they do this even during this time of adversity?
Yeah. I mean, you literally, the hair on my body was standing on end when you were talking about it, because these are the times that we're in. There's so many people pulling back. There's so many people that aren't leaving their home. There's so many people that are, that feel like their social capital is bankrupt. And I got to tell you, there's never been a more important time to have mentors in your life than right now. People who have been there and done that, people who have been in the roller coaster of life and they've seen the downs and seen the ups. You need somebody right now that has confidence and clarity that this is going to be okay. In fact, right now, if you have the right mentors in your life, I promise you will look back on this time and say, this was the most significant period of your entire life. Because this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. I literally was talking to someone that's in his mid-70s that is a guru. He's a mentor to me, and he is saying he looks back over his life and he recognizes that what's happening right now is a once-in-a-lifetime event for him. So that's over a 75-year period. So I'm hanging on every word he says because he's got 75 years of wisdom, and he recognized this as a once-in-a-lifetime. So I want to know what he's doing right now and what he's recommending that I do right now. And I'm so thankful to have him in my life, and I'm so thankful that he's willing to share those things with me. And so instead of kind of withdrawing, it's time to actually step forward and say, what if this is the most significant pivot that I'm going to make in my life? But you need somebody in your life to help you, somebody with some wisdom to be able to say, I recognize what these times are, and I know what you need to do during these times. And so all I can say is this: there's no silver bullet. There's no perfect solution during these times, but there are people, and this is what I know to be true. Right now, there are people that want to help you. Right now, there are people that want to mentor you. The question is, are you willing to be mentored, and do you want to be mentored? Because I believe, Marie, if you are willing and you want to, the world will open up to you, and you'll be shocked at how many people are standing at your door ready to grab your hand and say, let's crush this pandemic. Let's beat this quarantine. Let's emerge on the other side stronger. Zig Ziglar, my mentor, used to say, nobody drowns by falling in water. They only drown by staying there. And there's so many people that look at this as a drowning event, and they're staying in the water, their face is down, and all they need is somebody to grab their hand, yank them up, and see the opportunities around them. That's what a mentor can do, and that's what a mentor will do.
Yeah. And the ability to look up is so important. And I know sometimes it can feel like that sounds great, Mark, right? That sounds great for you, but for me, I've got this going on. And this option to take control, as you're saying, and look for those people that can help you, and to put it out there to the universe, those positive vibes. So I used to be a doubter. I used to be a doubter of the law of attraction, and then I've learned the science behind it, right? It's not just touchy-feely, wooey-wooey. It's that there's actual science behind it, because once we tell our brain that this is what we're going to manifest, this is what I'm going for, this is my goal, my brain actually starts solving that problem, even like while I'm asleep, right? So we can hear this and think that it's a luxury, it's something that people with money have said, it's not for me because I've got X, Y, or Z going on. And there is reality to this. It's not just a bunch of fiction, right?
Oh, that's totally right. In the book that we wrote, Mentor to Millions, there are more stories about our failures than there are about our successes. Because guess what, Marie? You want a mentor that's failed. You want a mentor that's fallen face first and face planted and struggled themselves to get up. And that's, we talk a lot about that in the book for that very reason. And here's the thing I got to say. I believe it's never been easier to get a mentor, because you've got social media. You've got, if you were just put yourself out there, the only thing standing in the way, Zig Ziglar, again, he used to say this one thing: you can change who you are and where you are by changing one thing. Only one thing. And that is what you're putting between your ears. You change the input and you will change the output. You change what's going in your mind and it will change your life. And I know that sounds woo-woo, and I know that sounds like, not for me, but trust me, start changing what you're listening to, start changing who you're talking to, and your life will change, and it will change forever. It takes 21 days to form a new habit. We've developed a lot of new habits over the last 90 days thanks to COVID-19. We've had to develop these new habits, and so you can develop a new habit, and that habit is being able to read. Because here's the deal, okay? This is so important for everybody to learn. I met Zig Ziglar. I met him. He invited me to his house. I ate dinner with him and his wife, the redhead. He was my mentor. But guess what? Kevin Harrington never met Zig Ziglar. Yet he considers him to be the most influential mentor in his life, but he never met him. So if you're out there and saying, I'll never get a mentor like Mark Tim, I'll never get a shark from Shark Tank like Mark Tim, you can be mentored by somebody. In this particular case, Zig Ziglar's not even alive. Kevin never met Zig. What if you get mentored by these amazing leaders that have put their content out there? Start listening to the right podcasts. Start listening to the right, tapes. You can Google Zig Ziglar on YouTube and see all kinds of free content. Start being mentored by people that are immediately accessible in your hands that you've never even met. So Kevin Harrington says Zig Ziglar was his biggest mentor. Never met the guy. So there's nobody that has access to the internet that can say they don't have time for a mentor or they can't find a mentor, because you don't even need to know that mentor. You just need to start consuming their content and changing the input you're putting in your brain and start doing what they're telling you to do, even if they're not looking eye to eye to you, which is tough to do right now.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about why this is so important and the benefits of you becoming a mentor, because you don't always have to find one. You can find one and be one and then get kind of the double benefit. So we're going to be back in just a few minutes.
Voice America Business Network, the bottom line in business. You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit GetCareerSmart.com to find out more. That's GetCareerSmart.com or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
You hear about it all the time. compromises, destructive malware, major breaches. You can't turn on the news without hearing about the latest cyber event. Learn more about cybersecurity, how it has become one of the most significant threats to our national security, and the battle experts undergo every day on your behalf to protect you, your families, and your data. Task Force 7 Radio with host George Reedus is the voice of cybersecurity around the world. Tune in live every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Business Channel.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
From the boardroom to you, Voice America Business Network. You are tuned in to The Career Confidant with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@astrategicadvantage.com. Now, back to The Career Confidant.
Welcome back to the Career Confidant. Today we are talking with Mark Timm and he's an author, so we were talking a lot about his book, but he's giving you some great tidbits that you can use to go and be a mentor. And now we're going to talk a little bit about, get a mentor. Now we're going to talk a little bit about being a mentor. So Mark, in Mentor to Millions, you also talk about the power of being a mentor. Tell us a little bit about how that can help people.
Yeah, in our book, Mentor to Millions, we really do a deep dive into the power of getting mentors in your life, but we also talk about being a mentor. So we want you to have a mentor, but we want you to be a mentor. And we talk about how absolutely life-changing it can be to mentor others. And so, in the previous segment, we talked about you might be out of social capital to ask for a mentor, but you're probably not out of enough social capital to be a mentor. If you look around, there are always people that are in a tougher situation than you, and it can be so charging of your life, so fulfilling of your life to help someone else. I mean, we get more out of helping others than we do out of being helped. And so maybe you're at the point where it's like, okay, I need to help someone else. And by helping them, sometimes you get even more benefit as a mentor than your mentee. And so I want to encourage everybody to be that mentor, to reach out and help someone and really do it with honest, genuine intentions, and then be open to what comes back to you tenfold. We tell some stories in the book about how, for me, Kevin was helping me scale business, and he was doing a good job helping me scale, but then I realized what I really needed to scale was my family. And I started taking everything I learned from him and applying it at home. And my family life started to change. My kids' life started to change. My relationship with my family started to change. Well, guess what happened, Marie? Kevin was watching me evolve right in front of his eyes. And he's saying, wait a minute, I want some of what he's got with my family. And so he started asking me more questions, and he started probing more into what I was doing. And next thing you know, he started changing himself and doing things different with his two boys because he wanted the relationship with his son that I had with my sons and with my daughters. And so here the mentor is becoming the student of the mentee, and his life starts to change. And so here we are years into our relationship, and both of our lives have changed because of that relationship, both the mentor and the mentee. And it supercharged him to change what he was doing at home and change his relationship. And that happens all too often in a mentor-mentee relationship. You start by helping, and then pretty soon you become the one that's being helped. And sometimes you get even more benefit out of it. So in Mentor to Millions, it's all about the exponential impact of mentorship in your life, both being a mentor and having the right mentor.
Now, tell us a little bit more about how this might happen for a business owner. So why would this be so important to an entrepreneur? And a lot of the entrepreneurs that might be listening to this are solopreneurs, so they work by themselves in the career services space. So resume writers, career coaches, leadership coaches, that's the audience of entrepreneurs that will most likely be listening to this, or people in that field that are thinking about launching. And why is mentorship so important to them?
Oh my gosh. Like, if I'm so thankful to know that that's who's going to be listening to this, because I have a message for them right now. And that is, I've been there. Kevin's been there. And let me tell you something, being an entrepreneur can be lonely. It absolutely can be lonely, because you're out there and you're duking it out and you're trying to make the best as in your business and for your family. But a lot of times, especially as a solopreneur, you can get lonely at the top of the mountain of your entrepreneurial endeavor, and you're looking around and it's just you. It can be a very lonely perspective. And so entrepreneurs, in my opinion, more than any segment of the business population, needs mentorship. They need to be surrounded by like-minded people who have maybe been there or done that. Because here's what I know about being an entrepreneur. We're all climbing the same mountain. It's the entrepreneurial mountain. And we all start from the same spot, and that's at the bottom of the mountain. And we're all trying to get to the top of the mountain. Well, guess what? Sometimes, you ever seen one of those TV shows where they're walking and walking and walking, and next thing you know, hours or days later, they come back and they're like, wait a minute, I've been here before. And they find themselves literally having walked to the point of exhaustion, only to find that they're back at the very place that they began. That's the journey of an entrepreneur. And it happens all the time. And I guarantee you the people listening know what I'm talking about. So what about an entrepreneur that's already been to the top of the mountain? You know what they know? They know the best path to get there. They know the shortest distance from the bottom to the top because they've been there. And they're willing to come back down and say, follow me. I know how to get to the top of the entrepreneurial mountain. And guess what happens? When you follow them and you follow their path, you don't get lost, on this never-ending circle. You get to the top of the mountain. And here's the best part of all. When you reach the top of that entrepreneurial mountain, do you know what you see? You see that there's another 100 mountains out there that you didn't even know existed. Some are taller, some are smaller. And next thing you know, you begin this whole new journey to climb other mountains. And the whole world opens up to you, but not until you climb that first one. And a mentor, nothing will get you to the top of that mountain faster than somebody who's already been there. And that is a journey that I know I was on, that I know I struggled with, and I know so many entrepreneurs that are on that entrepreneurial mountain trying to get to the top, and all they need is a mentor to reach down and show them the path, and then show them all these other mountains that are ready for them to start their next journey on.
Well, and that just makes me think of, self-servingly, another avenue that we might find a mentor, right, depending on what we're in. So I run a professional development organization for this audience, Career Services, and a lot of them are business owners, and they find their mentors within my organization, right? I can't mentor everyone, but there are people within the organization who've been in business for 20, 30 years, and they make these connections, especially at conferences. The in-person connections are so important, but we can do that online, and even through our events, people are doing that online. So just another avenue, if you're in business or if you're in your career, another great way to find a mentor is getting involved in a professional organization.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so many out there, and they're so easy to do. If you're in a small town community, you can start with even some of the local community clubs, the Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary, the Kiwanis. There's all kinds of those. I like, so Kevin was a founding member of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. And so we talk a lot about EO. In fact, we talk about him being part of starting that organization, in the book that we wrote together. So there's so many professional organizations, even in your field, like you were talking about, the field that you're in, there's professional organizations. And I tell you that in those organizations, there are people just waiting for someone to raise their hand, and they're ready to pour into your life and start helping you take that next step, go to that next level. Because, man, as an entrepreneur, do not do this alone. There's no reason to, there's no need to. Don't do it alone. We want to help each other. We're here for each other. We have a kindred spirit. We're like-minded. That's why we became an entrepreneur. So we get you, we understand you, and we want to help you. And that is the mentality of many entrepreneurs. They just need to be asked, and then they need you to be the best student that you can be and do what they're telling you to do. And then, like I said earlier, step back and watch the results and watch your life start changing.
You've mentioned a couple of times the impact of this on your family. Tell me a little bit about how you lead your family like a business.
Well, what I did, I seriously took all the things I was learning in business and I started applying them at home. I started actually I was like, what am I good in business at? What have I learned from Kevin? And I started applying it at home. I started doing family meetings at home. I started, if I would learn something at a mastermind or a conference, I would bring that home and I would actually start, I would apply that. I did strength finders at one of my business conferences I was in, so I bought strength finders for my family, and we all learn our individual strengths. One of the most important things we did for years was have family meetings at night. I literally, that day I sped up the driveway that I started this whole thing with, I realized that I had my whole life upside down. I realized that I was sitting in that driveway because I didn't have the same confidence and clarity at home. And the one thing I said to myself is, what if I had it all wrong? What if the most valuable business that I will ever own, ever operate, that I will ever even be a part of, is the business I was going home to instead of the business I went to that day? And that's when my life changed, and it changed forever. And that's when I started treating my family as the most valuable business in the world. The relationship that I have with my kids now, I would have never dreamed could be possible at that moment in that driveway. But it's because I started treating them, and I started using vernacular that made sense to me in business, like shareholder meetings, like a bottom line. As a family, we created our own family logo. We have our own mission statement. Anything that I did in business that made my business work, I started doing it at home. And in fact, I'll just throw this out there because sometimes people really grab onto this message, and it's in the book, but I actually do a much deeper dive. If anyone wants to go to my personal website, marktimm.com, if they go there, I actually wrote a couple books on this very topic, ebooks, on how you can win at home like you win at work, even do a family meeting guide. So if anyone wants to treat their family as their most valuable business, they can go to my website and get all kinds of free resources. I do talk about it in the book, Mentor to Millions, but I go a little bit deeper in my own personal website.
Oh, that's fun. And as you said, we can leverage all of those things that we learn about being a leader and maybe even managing our finances, right? But apply those from business into our family. And I was just talking to my husband the other day about that because we have two little boys. They're 2 and 4, and talking about how learning to parent is making us such better leaders.
That's awesome.
So,
and Mark, if I were you, if I were in your shoes, if I were exactly where you're at, if I could rewind the clock, because I have 6 kids, all right, and they're all moving on in life. They're all young adults now. I only have one back at home, and so they'll be there. She'll be a senior next year, and so I've lived this. My petri dish is already cultivated. I see the other side of the equation. I see what's possible if you're out there and you start living your life this way. If you treat your family like it's your most valuable business, and here's the most important thing for you to hear, and that is you already know everything you need to know. If you're good at any aspect of being an entrepreneur, you already know what you need to know. You don't have to learn this amazing new skill. Just start doing what you're doing at work and doing it at home. Connect those two worlds instead of keep them separate. And so that's my biggest advice, and the liberating thought is that you know what you need to know. You just need to start doing that at home.
Oh, I love it. Well, Mark, you've been so generous with your time and your expertise. Tell listeners where they can get this book and how they can learn more from you. You shared your website, but share it again so that people can connect with you.
Okay, so personally, you can connect with me at marktimm.com. So you can go there, get resources, connect with me personally. The book, you can go to Amazon, Mentor to Millions book, look it up, and you can buy it there. Or if you want a bunch of awesome resources to go along with the book, and we're actually going to mentor. Are you ready for this? We're going to mentor people. The book doesn't come out till September. We're going to start mentoring people now, and you go to GetMTM.com and buy sign up to get the book there, and then we're going to actually pick and we're going to mentor people between now and then to show the power of mentors. So if you want Kevin Harrington, the original Shark from Shark Tank, or Mark Timm to be your mentor, go to GetMTM.com, sign up, get a copy of the book in advance, and we are going to start mentoring people who sign up now before our book launches in September.
Oh, that's so exciting. Thank you so much for that generosity. And I look forward to staying connected and learning from you. And if you're listening to the show, you know that we're going to say goodbye to Mark, but we'll be back and we're going to unpack and talk a little bit more about other people that you might need in your life if you want to be successful in your career and in your business. So thank you, Mark, and we'll be right back here on the Career Confidant.
Business community's first choice in Internet Talk Radio, Voice America Business Network.
You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
Today we live in a truly global environment. Business can more easily be conducted now in almost any part of the world. How do you, as a business owner or professional, navigate the ever-changing business landscape? Tune in to Leadership Beyond Borders with host Kimberly J. Lewis. With a worldwide resource of guests, you'll find out what opportunities and challenges surround diverse and virtual organizations. Listen live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. U.S. Pacific Time on the Voice America Business Channel.
Think you've seen everything there is to see in online television? Let us surprise you. Visit voiceamerica.tv today for sports, health, business, and more on demand 24/7.
Voice America Business Network, the bottom line in business.
You are tuned in to The Career Confidant with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@astrategicadvantage.com. Now, back to The Career Confidant.
Welcome back to The Career Confidant. We were just talking with Mark Tim about his book, Mentor to Millions. Oh, I'm saying that wrong, but we'll get the right one here. Mentor to Millions, that's right. Okay, so Mentor to Millions and his ideas around how we can find mentors, especially right now when we might be thinking that we're too down or maybe everyone else is down, which it may be true. And people who have been through challenges like this can be so inspiring to us, even if they are still going through challenges themselves. So when this first happened and the pandemic kind of first started to impact businesses and impact careers, I had the fortune of being on a call with one of my mentors who had a groups and small groups to get together, and small groups were connecting with each other. And this mentor said that, we often talk about how money doesn't grow on trees. But what if it did? And maybe it even does. We just have to know how to access it. And that if we had the vision to think, yes, people are going to make money right now, what am I going to do to be a part of that? What am I going to do to serve my audience? Because that always has to come first or it doesn't work. And take advantage of the opportunities that are going to be presented by this transition, by this challenge. And what are the gaps? What will people need? How can my services and my expertise solve this problem, add value to people, and therefore add value to me, right? Bring in money. And if we're an entrepreneur or maybe we're looking for a job, that's the mindset that we're looking to adopt. Where are the gaps? What are the challenges? And how can I use my skill set to plug in? And that work that it takes to do that, everyone's talking about pivoting, but that transition that it takes in our mindset to think, here's what I've done, or what I offer, and then how can it meet that gap? How can it fill that gap of other people? And a mentor or a coach can help us figure out that transition, make that mental shift to connect into the gap, to fill that space, to bring our value where it's needed most. And this can sound very kind of self-serving. We have to realize that it doesn't work if it's not also serving the need of people, right? People aren't going to buy something unless they need it. It might not always be true, but we can think, okay, people aren't going to buy something unless it's something that actually solves a problem for them. So if I'm solving a problem for them, I'm adding value and I'm giving myself an opportunity to bring home what I need to take care of my family. And when we can make those connections, we can create opportunities for ourselves. And this could be in a job, doesn't have to be entrepreneurship, although there are opportunities there, obviously. But it might be that we are looking to find a job, and we can have the same thought process. Where are the gaps? What do people need? What is growing? And what might that mean for me and my skill set? And if you've been following along at all on the Career Thought Leaders Facebook page, we've been doing some short videos every Tuesday. And a while ago, we did a video about the places that you can find a list of open positions. And I'd encourage you not to think about that as, am I going to apply for that position or not? But what does this tell me about the needs right now? I can look at the trends. I can look at what types of companies are hiring, what types of positions are there, and think about that in a bigger picture way. Maybe I can't apply for those jobs for some reason. Maybe they're not local to me, etc. Although those things are going online right now. But I can look at the trends and think about what does that mean, and how could I find some gaps to fill that do work for me based on what I'm learning from these trends. And we can do the same thing if we're an entrepreneur, looking maybe at those jobs that are posted or the services that we see people are looking for in our own community, our industry, maybe our local community, whatever community means to us or makes sense for our business. What are people needing, and how can I shift to meet that need? And how can I continue to do that? Because it may not be ultimately profitable right in this moment. A lot of businesses are struggling with this right now, right? It might not be profitable right now, but how can I set myself up to be profitable as things start to change and come back, or to be profitable in a different arena that is somewhat similar to mine that I can then leverage as things start to change and come back. In the career space, we've talked a lot about how can we maintain our value in this space, even though there's a lot of people who are unemployed and may not be able to pay what we're used to charging. Can we make a program that is different, smaller, has a different entry point? Can we sell a product, maybe a class or a book, that allows us to get paid for that value while also offering a service that is accessible to other individuals? And then to realize that as we shift our target market, there might be opportunities for us to make what we're used to charging if we pivot into a different target audience, or make sure our messaging is targeting an audience that is in a different place right now, and then we can offer lower cost or class, book, or even free mentoring to other people. And how do we get the value out of that? And of course, we know that if we're a mentor, we're also getting value because we're seeing what people's challenges are. We're using our conversations and the intelligence that we are gaining from those conversations to inform our products, our process, our sales pitch on the other side. So we're always getting that value out of everything that we're doing. And I would say that there is a difference between a mentor and a coach, right? A mentor may be someone who has gone where you want to go and can help you see how to get there. Sometimes those mentors might be paid, then usually we would call them a coach. Or they might be someone who just is going to share with you, share about their journey, be a colleague, be that person who is sharing their wisdom without a lot of structure or charging. And those are the people that you can connect with through a professional organization or through maybe even your own existing network of colleagues. Who has been their mentor? Who have they learned a lot from? And how can you connect with those people? In person is great, obviously not face-to-face in most countries today, but you may be able to connect with them over Zoom, over the phone, and meet them and really have those rich conversations. And to not be afraid of doing that, afraid of asking about that, because as Mark was saying, as mentors, people get so much value and they know that. We don't have to, convince them that they are going to need to be our mentor. They know they get value out of that. And then we're going to be, as Mark said, a student of that mentor that really does what they are saying. We put into practice. We get the value out of that because we actually follow through. And then they get more value out of it because they see that follow through. They see the impact of it. They see what works and what doesn't work, perhaps, and learn from that even as we're going through it together. There's so much value for both parties if there's action, when we can see what's going on and we can take that action, learn from it together. And then we might find those mentor opportunities for ourselves, as Mark was talking about. And at the very beginning, he was talking about how we might find mentors and not even know them through, they're an author of a book and we read the book, or they're videos on YouTube and we're watching their videos. You too can be a mentor that way, to share your expertise. And oftentimes we shy away from that. We think, I don't know enough to make a video, or I don't know enough to write a blog. You do. Share your wisdom, and you can become a mentor to other people in the field. And you're learning, you're sharing. You don't have to be perfect to share your wisdom, to share your expertise, and to be of value to other people in the field. You can flip it and do some of the things that Mark was talking about, and you're learning and doing at the same time. And I think that's one of the things I've learned as a coach, is that just because I'm coaching doesn't mean I don't also have a coach. And at every point in my work, both one-on-one work that I was doing with career service, with career clients, people who are job searching or trying to move up in their careers, I had a coach that was helping me be more effective in that work. And in my role now, running organizations and teaching and training and leading other career service providers, I have a coach that helps me be more effective in that work and in my business, and multiple coaches in multiple different aspects that are adding value to the work that I do, and also adding value to the audience that I serve. And that continuum of being an entrepreneur, but also having a coach or a mentor who's helping you, then improves your business and your services to those that you serve. It has an exponential impact, which is what I love about it, right? One other aspect of our business as an entrepreneur is putting together some of these processes and taking the steps. And the same for a job seeker. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those steps and how we can set up and seek out some of these relationships. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
The business community's first choice in Internet Talk Radio. Voice America Business Network.
You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
We hear it and read about it every day in the news.
America is heading over a fiscal cliff. Home prices are still receding and unemployment growing.
How can you preserve and increase your wealth in this kind of economy? Tune in to Turning Hard Times into Good Times with host Jay Taylor. Jay will explain the decline of our monetary system and the economy, and will give you winning investment ideas and the tools to protect and increase your wealth. Turning Hard Times into Good Times with Jay Taylor can be heard Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 noon Pacific Time on the Voice America Business Channel.
Many industries have been revolutionized by technology in the last decade. Books, music, TV, communications, and now it's happening to our money and the way we pay. Tune in to Breaking Banks with Brett King for a look at how technology and customer behavior will bring about more changes in banking in the next 10 years than in the last 200 years. Listen every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific on Voice America Business Channel or on AM 1160 The Voice. You'll never look at your bank account the same again.
When it comes to business, you'll find the experts here. Voice America Business Network.
You are tuned in to The Career Confidant with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@astrategicadvantage.com. Now, back to The Career Confidant.
Welcome back to The Career Confidant. And today we were talking with Mark Timm, Timm, about his book, Mentor to Millions, and how important it is for all of us in careers and entrepreneurship to find a mentor and to find opportunities to be a mentor. So let's talk a little bit about finding that mentor. So he recommended, those people that you're reading, you're listening, they are your mentors. Can you get into their communities and find people that might be a mentor within that community? So for instance, our Career Thought Leaders Facebook groups do really well. LinkedIn groups, unfortunately not. But is there an industry or an industry association or the Facebook group of some of these folks that you follow, that you enjoy their content? And then you watch the comments and you see other people who are sharing, they're sharing their resources, they're sharing their wisdom, and you're looking for, might there be an opportunity to connect with one of those people to have them as your mentor? It doesn't have to be the person who's, set up the group. So, not Zig Ziglar, obviously, because he's passed, but even when he was alive, if he'd had a Facebook group, you don't have to look for him to be your mentor. It might be someone else within the group, like Kevin or Mark, who would be there commenting, sharing, answering questions, and you could reach out to them to see if they might be someone who would be your mentor. Great way to find and to kind of vet that person, because you can see the tone and the things that they share, the information that they share, and see, would this be a good person to be a mentor for me? And it's not somebody that, they don't have to be in the business for 20, 30 years. They could be just a little bit further along than you. They've been where you want to go, and they've had the success that you want to have. Then you're looking at that philosophy and those values. You don't necessarily want someone who thinks exactly like you, right? You want someone who can challenge you, and you do want some alignment in their values and what they stand for and how they practice their business. Because if they don't practice the business the same way you do, let's say you don't agree on some of the things around ethics or deep held values, it probably will be a challenge. So you want to look for those and watch some of their videos, read what they're writing, go to some of the presentations that they give if they're giving free webinars, and see if their philosophies align with yours. And of course, they're going to challenge things that you believe, and that's a good thing as long as there's alignment around those core values. you're going into those groups, you're reading blogs, you're listening to videos anyways, start paying attention to who those people are, get engaged in their communities, and start learning from other people who might be in those groups. Now, in the career space, so if you're a job seeker right now, there are a lot of online job seeker groups that you can join and be a part of, where you can learn from someone like me, who might be a career coach. You're also learning from other people in the group, and you're starting to form those relationships. See what you can gain from being part of that community, and also connecting with other people who might be in that group as mentors, as coaches. There might be other coaches in the group that you can engage as a coach as well. Now, a coach is more along the lines of helping you figure out what is the best path for you. A mentor is going to share their path, and you're going to take pearls of wisdom from that and move it into your own path. A coach is really focused on helping you figure out what is the best path forward for you, while sharing perhaps some key information and expertise along the way. When you're thinking about getting a coach and finding people who challenge you, this is important, because if we're only associating with people who think the same way we do, we are setting ourselves up for a challenge. And this goes in many facets of our life, right? From parenting and family to business and career, seeking out many different opinions so that we can find one that works for us, so we can put the pieces together of a lot of different opinions and find a way that works for us. Mark was talking a little bit about parenting, and I was kind of laughing as he was doing that, because when you are a parent of young children, you get a million pieces of advice. Always somewhere, someplace of people giving you advice. Our ability to filter that advice and to figure out what's going to work for us, and then to make sure we're always open to new ideas, because when we think we know it all, we are in trouble. And this is one of our challenges in business, is that there's always going to be a way to do something better. There's always new technology. We're always learning new things. And how can we balance that against having a solid foundation and knowing where our values stand and where we're at in the process and who we serve? These pieces of that are going to shift, and pieces of that are our foundation. And we're constantly connecting the dots between the two. So I know my foundation as a parent. I know the philosophy that I come from. I know the end goal, the vision that I have for my family, if you will. But there's a lot of different ways to achieve that vision. There are a lot of new inputs coming in all the time. And if I say, no, this is what I believe, and this is, how I'm going to do it, I might be beating my head up against a brick wall or, I don't know what a more appropriate analogy is for dealing with a 4-year-old, but you can just drive yourself crazy if you've got, this is the right way, this is how I'm going to do it, this is the way, versus being open to learning and flexing and adapting to meet the needs of that individual that you're working with. And our business, our career is the same way. We're learning, seeking out new information, and creating a team of mentors. This isn't going to be just one individual. You are going to have a team of people that is going to be helping you get where you want to go in your career, in your life, in your business. And as you seek out those people, we're looking for consistency and a vision, but also an opportunity to expand our worldview, to expand our way of thinking, to find new solutions that we haven't thought about before. And that's what I love about my community, a Career Thought Leaders community, Resume Writing Academy community. We're all challenging and listening and learning from each other. And when you can find that community for yourself professionally, be it Toastmasters or, Mark was talking about Rotary International, which is another one of my favorites. When you find that community of people, then you'll have that balance of foundation and challenge to really achieve success in your career and in your business. I hope that you'll check out Mark's program and his business, Mentor to Millions. I'm looking forward to it as well. We are going to have a guest again next week to talk about careers issues that you need to know about to be more successful in your career, in your business, and in your life. We look forward to seeing you right back here again next week on The Career Confidant.
Thank you for listening to The Career Confidant. Marie Zimenoff will return again with another terrific guest next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Business Channel. Be sure to join us then.